Dear Diary, it has been a while since I wrote here, but I had to take a break after the escapades of the last entry. When deciding to start my work again, I found out that Melanie had another job for me. She knew I'd stolen something from her. I didn't know how, and I initially denied this but kind of gave myself away when I spoke next. Her mission for me was simple. I was to steal a prototype weapon from the competing company, as they wanted me to steal something from her in the first place, but she had nothing to steal, so needed something to be stolen so that she could track where it went. Now the reason for the theft was as clear as some incredibly thick oil. With a request to keep violence levels down, I proceeded to the building in question. Once I got to the building, I realised that all of their secure circuits could be accessed from one room. Not questioning this minor security flaw in their plan, I hacked all of them instantly, and set about planning my no violence assault on the building. To get into the building, I needed to trigger a motion detector on the bottom floor, but the guard couldn't move because he was locked in his room. So I needed to get the other guards to move around to set off their detectors to open up the door that I wanted. The only way into the building was through a trapdoor on the roof. So I wired a motion detector up to it, and finally it opened. And then it shut again because it was on a timer of some sort. Now I knew how to get in, I started making plans and going over ideas in my head. When the trapdoor opened, I could leap up high and smash triumphantly through the glass, but that would probably get me killed. I tried annoying the basement guard by getting the alarm to sound, but all that did was make him stand near the alarm and not do anything useful. I thought maybe I could drop down just one floor while the guard was on the glass, but that might get me whacked with a door and then shot. If I timed it right, I could jump down, land on the guard at the bottom while the guard at the top was on the glass so he fell down too, and then I could do what I want. But then I remembered I was trying to do this without violence, so this probably wouldn't be a good plan. I thought about just falling straight down with no violence, just next to the guards, except I'd probably get shot in the face by a surprised guard if I stood next to them. I needed to get in the building more subtly. I also had to not smash the glass because that would probably make it obvious that I'm coming into the building. In the end, I lined up my jump and waited for my chance, and there it was, I was in, hanging from the ceiling like a little monkey. I'd have to be careful where I was hanging to avoid being spotted by the guard, so turning off the lights would help, assuming I remembered to unwire the light switch to stop the guard from turning them back on again. Then after locking the last few guards in their rooms, I could go and nick the stuff I wanted to nick. I decided in the end to make as loud an entrance as possible because I was very proud of the fact that I locked all the guards in their rooms. I then realised that the laptop I wanted to grab was in a room with a guard, so I had to let him out. I couldn't turn the lights off or lock him in anywhere, and I couldn't knock him out either because I was asked not to. So I used the trousers to help me hide in the ceiling so I could grab it, climbed around the guard and made my getaway, climbing up the floors using both the stairs and the trousers. I used a light switch to open the trapdoor on the roof and made my getaway of the item that in a few days' time I would be stealing right back again. This was going to be rather lucrative. I decided to ignore the sweary man for a bit. I would steal his stuff back for him later. Katie had another mission for me, so I contacted her to see what she had to say. The mission was simple: hack a thing. I could do that. Minimal violence was boring, but I could do that as well. Things looked simple. First I needed to get to the secure access point, so I walked in quietly behind the guard and turned the light off, while standing right behind him. He wandered off rather than going to the nearest light switch, so I quickly rewired the switch and he locked himself in the room. It's like they were doing my job for me. Now that I had a safe room, I leapt up and latched onto the ceiling, dropping down behind the guard to plant the wire jack. I realised now it would probably be best for me to lock the guard in my little safe room, so I waited for the right time and locked him in, giving me freedom to roam around the place. I went upstairs and then promptly had to go downstairs again when I realised I needed the switch there to open the door. Hacking another laptop as a public service to everyone around and reading the juicy info, I switched the upstairs lights off and got the guard patrolling. Then made plans to lock him into a room as well. Hitting the last wirejacking point, I used the security camera to open the final door, as I was kind of running out of light switches at this point. I grabbed the information I needed and made my escape. Turns out the data had been deleted, but someone at Rook had downloaded it. Next mission would be to find out who. After complimenting Katie on her punctuation changes, I attempted to lighten the mood and got on my merry way. At the Rook building, I made a couple of attempts to break in through the window, but the trousers were just not strong enough. I climbed onto the roof and started playing with the motion detector to make it work the lights, and using it to get the guard to let me into the building. Locking the guard in the ground floor into his own little room, I lured out the next guard and ran in to wirejack the next circuit. Using smart lift timing, I both managed to open the next door and lock the recently released guard back into his room. Realising that when the lift went back up the door was going to close, Rather than unlink the lift, I simply closed the door with a light switch first. I wanted to make the entrance properly. I switched the lights off, then realised that I needed to get to the stairs to go up, but there was no way in from the first floor. I had to let the guard out of his room on the ground floor to go back upstairs. I wondered who the hell designed the bloody building. I went up the stairs, got another laptop to sell on eBay. I went upstairs and got another laptop to sell on eBay. This one had something about a Project Lucina mentioned. Figured this would be interesting info for use for later. I wired a switch to open a door, quickly ran up the stairs, used the switch, then ran up the next set before the guard saw me. I turned off the lights on the top floor because, well, all the other lights were off, it made sense. I opened the rest of the doors and hacked the server. Mission done. There's just a lot of stairs to climb on the way down. Unfortunately, the data had been scrubbed clean. I felt bad for Katie, so I offered to waive my fee. I was only going to spend it on the trousers anyway, but she insisted. I then came clean and pointed out that it was me that had been deleting the video files. She instantly disconnected. I think I might have burnt the bridge for that contract a little bit, but it was lucrative while it was around. So there we have it, Diary. A few more missions complete, the trousers were working wonders, and there was a lot more laptops to put on eBay.